How's it going, folks? It's Wardy here, and we have plenty to break down our latest Big Mets update segment, as I'm currently recording this just after the Mets concluded their first season victory of the year by a final score of 3-1 over the Houston Astros in Game 2. But you guys are seeing this video here March 29th, 2025, before the Mets kickstart their finale in Houston, in which we will have pregame and postgame coverage live later on this evening on the platform, so be on the lookout for it. But we have to get into these further takeaways headlined by the dominance and the brilliance that is Juan, the one and only Juan Soto. We're going to get into how just a day removed from the Yankees winning the World Series, and no, it wasn't them besting the Dodgers in that 5-game series in which they got absolutely curb stomped. No, we're talking about how the Yankees and their fandom were certainly happy to see Josh Hader strike out Juan Soto to conclude Game 1. Come to find out, Juan Soto is in fact him, and he stepped up big time, to say the least, here in Game 2 of this matchup in Houston, a ballpark that he knows all too well. We're going to get into some key remarks from Juan Soto himself with the media, as well as other key offensive takeaways from guys like Vientos and Jesse Winker, and a little bit on Torrens as well. The extra base hits god is what it feels like as of late on the pitching ends. Megill gave the Mets 5 strong innings. We're going to expand on that a bit more, as well as a dominant bullpen. Over 7 shutout innings for the Mets in their bullpen, headlined by the official Mets debut of AJ Minter, a longtime foe, now friend, which is very exciting to see what he will continue to do. And Edwin Sugar Diaz, that looked electric as ever, looking like his normal self. Reed Garrett was looking good too. Ryan Stanton got the job done against his former team. And not only do we have the key takeaways from this Mets victory to get into, but as well as not only the media stuff with Mendy, Diaz, Soto, and others, but our key prospect report headlined by Tidwell, looking oh so fantastic in his official season debut there for Syracuse. A lot to get into, short little time, so let's deep dive it all right here, right now. And thank you guys kindly for smashing that like and subscribe on as you first chime in. Let me know all your initial reactions in the comments down below. Shout out to our amazing friends at SeatGeek, in which you guys can get 10% off your next ticket order, especially with Mets opening day right around the corner, the home opener rather, there against the Blue Jays, and then the Marlins series thereafter, in which I'll be attending either that April 8th game or April 9th, one of the two as of now, still figuring out. You guys can get all your ticket needs at SeatGeek by clicking that link down below in the description and using our promo code WARDY10. That'll be automatically added into your account should you click that unique link down below. Thank you so much in advance for doing exactly that. But let's get into this one, everybody, and let's start with the one and only, because there's no better way to have a Mets conversation than get into the man that is the $765 million man. No, the $805 million man, because I have the utmost confidence that the Mets are going to be buying out that final number of years of the contract for Juan Soto, buying out, I should say, the void that he has right now. What am I even saying, Wardy? I know it's late night. It's past 1 a.m. at the time I'm initially recording this. What I'm trying to say is that Juan Soto, there's a unique clause in his contract, which means that if the Mets buy in $5 more million, $4 to $5 million per year for the remaining decade of the contract to make it go from 51 million AAV to 55 million AAV, then Juan Soto cannot opt out of the contract after the 5th season, even if he say wanted to. The Mets have control there, which is exciting. So if he does become an $805 million man, Juan Soto's going to need to do a lot for the Mets over the next 15 years. And he's off to a roaring hot start that we see there with that towering home run to right and a ballpark that he knows oh so well. We're going to get into Juan Soto's comments here in just a second as to what were his key takeaways there from this Game 2 victory in Houston. Again, a ballpark that he's dominated in during his time with the Washington Nationals as a 19-year-old, winning it all and winning the dance against Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and the cheating Stros at the time. Fast forward 6-7 years later, and Juan Soto's still going out and doing brilliant things in what is no longer named Minute Maid Park, but I'm going to call it Minute Maid Park because it'll always be Minute Maid Park to me. The same way as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I will always view Heinz Field as Heinz Field, even though it's no longer called Heinz Field, if you guys catch my drift here. But Juan Soto, I want to know, what were your initial reactions to the home runs? And I'd love to see in the comments down below, because I said this in my post-game show, and I'll say it again. Someone needs to pinch me. Someone needs to slap me, but pause. Don't do it too much, right? Someone needs to give me the true reality check that Juan Soto is a New York Met. Because even as I see him hit that absolute tank that you guys are watching beside me right now, I can't get over the fact that he's actually here. And I don't really think it's going to truly set in until I go to a Mets game on April 8th or 9th against the Marlins and hopefully see Juan Soto ball out yet again. The way I saw him hit not 1 but 2 home runs in spring training in person in Port St. Lucie when I was there around mid-March, and I was within a arm's length distance of Juan Soto, and even then, even then, it still didn't feel real. So I'm curious as to when this is going to kick in, because us Mets fans just aren't used to being spoiled in this fashion by landing a generational player who hasn't even hit his full peak yet in his career. Yes, Mets fans, the idea that Juan Soto hasn't even played his best baseball in his career yet is so crazy to fathom, but it's a reality, and we have him locked down long term. That's an exciting thing to say, if you ask me. But I want to hear from you, Mets fans, again, your key takeaways on Juan Soto in this one, and I also want to play some clips from Juan Soto himself speaking post-game, especially to see how he felt after hitting that towering home run and just how he feels in general now being with the Mets and what the Mets are all about. So let's go ahead and do exactly that, everybody. I apologize, too. I realized that was just showing for a second. So now let's go and play these clips, and I thought that they were pretty important.
Yeah, Juan Soto, your first home run as a Met. You seem to like hitting in this ballpark. You see the ball well here?
I think so. I don't know. It's something about this ballpark. I don't know. It's just a lot of good memories that I have here. I mean, years in the past, and I feel really good at the play every time I come here. So.
But it was off camera, so I'm going to allow you to answer it now. Your biggest surprise since coming to the Mets?
It's just how many fans they have. I mean, I'm really surprised on all the fans and everybody, how they support the team all the way. I mean, we are all the way in Houston, and they're still showing up here, so I'm impressed by that.
Especially for someone like him who is now a newcomer on the team, not necessarily knowing what to expect. Just wait until he has that first game at Citi Field against the Toronto Blue Jays. The crowd is going to be absolutely electric and nothing short of it. And we have some other key interview here from Juan Soto to share as to his key takeaways from this game. So let's share all those and do exactly that. And then from there, we'll talk more on the Mets and all the key takeaways in this matchup. Thank you guys kindly for smashing that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, along with letting us know all your thoughts in the comments down below.
$100%.
Juan Soto, if you knew it was a home run, 100%. Absolutely.
Full at all to have your first with your new team?
It's always great to have the first one, you know. A lot of guys want to get the first one away, you know, early and try to get that pressure off. So I feel like it feels pretty good.
Did you feel pressure to begin with?
No.
I just love that he feels so pretty good to get that pressure off. And then he's a follow-up question. Do you feel any pressure? Did you? He's like, nope. Like, why even say it, Juan? No one caught on to that. I just thought that was hilarious.
Something up there. Like, what was it? The progression of the at bat, how he was attacking you?
Yeah, just, you know, through the at bat, you see what he's been doing the whole day. You were asking the guys. I asked Winker, I asked Beatty. They say he feel pretty comfortable with the cutter opening. So I was kind of like aware of that pitch. Definitely, you know, you're hunting for something on the strike zone. He's a guy who has a lot of ride, but always aware of that pitch.
And mind you, for context, Juan Soto took that 96 cutter up and in. Again, absolutely ripped for a line drive home run. There was no doubting as soon as he made contact.
Boos in a hostile crowd, are you able to just tune it out? How do you handle that in opposing ballparks?
Just turn it off. Just think about yourself, you know, and what you're gonna do in the moment. Just be focused. Forget about what is going on around. And I remember when I was a kid, they used to tell me, if they're not booing you, you're not doing things right. So I feel like every time they boo me, it meant something for me.
Listen to that, Yankees fans. Every single time you boo this man, you're only adding fuel to the fire. So by all means, continue to rag on him, continue to boo on him. And yes, I'm referencing Yankees fans when we're playing the Astros, because you think that this is the Subway Series right now with the way that Yankees Twitter has, as one could expect, reacted in their very expletive way that we've seen over the past 24 hours, and for both good and bad reasons on the Juan Soto front. Heavy bad versus the good from everything I've seen, at least.
Be very impressed. There was a 1-2 cutter, 96 miles an hour up and in. You ever impress yourselves? Did this one impress you that you it off where you hit it?
I mean, I was hunting something up there, so for me, I just saw it and hit it. I wasn't looking at the speed or anything. I feel like I saw it really well. Even if it was 96, I saw it really well. I followed my plan and I just trusted.
spoken like truly one of the generation's best hitters right now. And that's exactly what Juan Soto is. And speaking of Juan Soto, we know that he was without question a massive standout in this matchup in the 3-1 victory for the Mets, but he wasn't the only one that stood out offensively in this one. And while the Mets did not record a home run in this ballgame outside of Soto, they did get some key offensive production from guys like Swaggy V, Daddy V, Marky V, however you call Mark, and pause. What is that Selly Mark? That's what I want you guys to figure out, because I've jokingly said on X, I think he's letting it hang, if you catch my drift, with whatever that celebration is supposed to be. But regardless, Mark, let's talk about you for a second, my man, and let's talk about what the expectations are for you this season, because let's not forget, Mark Vientos is coming off of what was a truly electric year for this team, and I apologize, I realized I had something wrong there, so ignore how everything kind of looks bizarre at the moment, as I just need to plug and place my template because I clicked on the wrong thing by accident. So we're going to ignore that, and you never saw it, everybody. So we're going to continue on to break down Mark Vientos and what we love so much about him in this matchup. And it's not only to rip that RBI double and then have the extroverted celebration the way that he did, it's more so on the fact of there are lofty expectations for Vientos this year after hitting 27 home runs for number 27 in 111 games last season. Now, in the case of Vientos especially, we know how good he is in his gap-to-gap, raw power ability to hit the home runs, but he also was one of the luckiest hitters last year per BABIP, which led a lot of fans to believing that Vientos is down for a little bit of a downturn this year. And I have been unbelievably confident in Vientos from the beginning, mainly because of the man, how he carries himself. The Vientos confidence has been through the roof since spring training began, and I will never forget his specific interview that he had to begin spring training and stating the following, how he went from really rushing things last year. Last year was very fast-paced for Vientos that we saw, just trying to acclimate himself after not cracking the team out of camp. Beatty certainly did. Then a month or so in, Vientos gets the call, makes the most of the opportunity, obviously, and really, when you look at that home run against the Cardinals as soon as he was called up, that was huge for the Mets when a lot of other things weren't going right there at that point in the first half of the season. Vientos then stayed hot and literally never looked back, both offensively and defensively. And when Vientos had his biggest defensive hiccups, we saw him make up for it offensively with home runs galore and the postseason run for the Mets last year. So Vientos stepped up and high leverage, did exactly what you could hope for and pray for beyond our wildest dreams. And Vientos can now solidify himself as our everyday third baseman and a guy who will continue to work on that defensive game, but it's the offense especially that's so appealing with him. He was literally one of the best hitting third basemen in all Major League Baseball all summer long last year. And now the big question is, are we going to get a 30-plus home run season out of Vientos? My big question that I have personally is Mark going to have a 40 home run year? Because I really love the idea of that becoming a reality. Not just because of my bias with Vientos and my bias in the Mets, but more so I have the utmost confidence in Mark's confidence and how he goes about his game, how he goes about himself, and how he's now a lot more calm, cool, and collected, as he said, heading into the season, knowing that he solidified himself and now just working more on his game to be a better hitter than he was the day before and a better player overall than he was the day before. So Mark Vientos, happy to have him, to say the least. Him and Jesse Winker got the offense started for the Mets after Brandon Nimmo was a true plate setter by ripping an opposite field single. Vientos then drives in the first run with an RBI double down to left field that you saw, and then Jesse Winker right after Mark Vientos also drove in Mark then that we saw to make it 2-0 at the time for the Mets in their 3-1 victory. A couple innings in, all thanks to Winker poking one oppo with a single. And for those that don't know, Jesse Winker and Mark Vientos have a fantastic relationship together, so this is just a continuation of exactly that. But guys, that's it on the offensive end, because Louis Torrens had an opposite field double that was oh so close to being a line drive home run. So let's see if Torrens can keep up the Haynes spree, if he does get that final start in Houston, if it doesn't go to Hayden Senger. Otherwise, we'll see Torrens back in that series in Miami starting Monday. But on the pitching end, a lot of key takeaways on the pitching end, everybody. But let's start with Edwin Sugar Diaz, because what did I hear all throughout spring training? Oh, I'm so concerned with the velocity. Edwin Sugar Diaz, he's not going to ever be what he used to be. He's going to be a bum. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. We heard the worst things imaginable, because everyone's a fair weather fan apparently in spring training. They just can't fathom the idea that what we get in spring is not necessarily the reality throughout the course of the 162. Well, thankfully, I'm here to enlighten you, everybody, because Edwin Diaz gave the Mets one dominant inning for that close that we saw in the ninth, including that strikeout that was oh so perfect. A nice fly out there to Juan Soto, very fitting that Juan, who had the final out yesterday, technically yesterday at the time you guys watching this, but was today for the time of me recording this. So back-to-back days where Juan Soto's the final out of the game. One of them is a good reason, and one of them is a bad reason. The latest is a good reason because he caught that final out. But Edwin Diaz, what was so noticeable about him was the velocity. Buddy was sitting over 97 on the gun. He actually had a slight uptick on his velocity on his average fastball in this outing than he did all of last year in the regular season. Furthermore, the slider, which had a nice bite on it, of course, we saw sit right around 89 to 90 plus miles per hour. So Edwin was as advertised, and he looked as composed and as collected as you could hope for. We know when it comes to Edwin, the big bugaboo with him will be walking everyone their mother, or certainly hating his slider if he doesn't proper command, or the fastball becomes a meatball. It's never ideal for a two-pitch pitcher to not have comfortability in one of his pitches, because naturally it's going to be a recipe for disaster. But that wasn't the case for Edwin Diaz, who had full control, full command of that two-pitch arsenal, and he was just one of many that stood out pitching-wise in this matchup. But Edwin was certainly a great standout for a guy that hopefully will give us some massive saves this year, give us a big season, maybe the best season that we've had from Edwin since 2022, if everything goes right. And when we look at not only him, but others that stood out, we also have to make sure that we know some key guys like Reed Garrett, who went one shutty that we saw coming in the mess for Tyler Megill, walked a batter, but still worked out of the jam brilliantly with some huge strikeouts. And then we saw Ryan Stanek do his thing, a scroll inning against his former team there, a walk, and that was it. But guys, there is one final person that we have to talk about on the pitching end, specifically this bullpen seizure. Now, Minter fluctuated with the velocity in spring, gave up some long balls of home runs, including Pablo Reyes, former Mets legend, who did in fact crack the Yankees roster, same as Cookie Carrasco. So congratulations to the former Mets there, wishing them well, but never wishing the Yankees well as a whole for obvious reasons. But AJ Minter came in and he did his thing. Velo was also looking good, which I thought was notable. He was sitting right around 95 on the gun, and we know that Minter, when right, can tap into the upper echelon of the 90s on that heater. But it was great to see from AJ, who made his long-awaited, highly anticipated Mets official season debut, giving us a scoreless outing. And I thought it was pretty fitting how, as I was reacting to it on X initially over this past day, I had a Braves fan that's a follower of mine, they know exactly who they are, comment under the tweet saying, you know, how terrible this is and how AJ Minter needs to go back to the Braves. Well, the Braves have started their season 0-2 after dropping their series to the Padres to begin things. In the case of the Mets, we have AJ Minter, who has been the best high-leverage lefty arm in the game the past 5+ years, not named Josh Hader and Tanner Scott. And no, that's not an exaggeration. There are no other reliever in the game of baseball that are southpaws that have had higher WAR, wins above replacement, over the past 5 seasons total than Josh Hader, Tanner Scott, and yes, AJ Minter. So Mets fans, get excited. We got ourselves a true high leverage lefty to depend on throughout the course of the 162. And as we hop back into pitching here, there's one final topic on the pitching end that we have to get into. And it's not just Edwin Diaz that we highlighted, in which I'm so happy to see Edwin back out there being the guy that he's supposed to be. But we also have to expand just a little bit more on what I thought was a very sharp first outing of the year for Cy Lore, Big Drip, Mr. Tyler Megill. What did we get from Tyler Megill? What was so dominant about him in this 5-inning outing, 77 pitches, 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned run, and 6 strikeouts? Well, there's one thing that's pretty notable, and it's as follows. And I want to give a quick shout out to my guy, Isaac Rothman, a tremendous pitching contributor here on the platform, who relayed the following notes for me to share with each and every one of you. Megill was successful by keeping it simple in this outing. He utilized his arsenal well and reduced his pitch mix to just the 4-seam fastball, slider, sinker, and the occasional curveball. For context, Tyler Megill has pretty much like 8 pitches in his back pocket, so he's got an abundance of options to choose from. But just because you have the kitchen sink to throw at the opposing team doesn't necessarily mean it's going to lead to success. To see Megill not only have the command but the confidence that he did in his fastball with the velocity, again sitting 96.5 on the gun, which is a full mile per hour higher than last season for the most part, that's very encouraging to see for Tyler Megill. And when we talk about that, when we talk about the ability on the slider as well, that's notable because he was really in the zone with his fastball that we saw, and he kept it, he kept it out from the heart of the plate, which was important. You know, he stole some strikes that we saw, especially with that sinker, and definitely had that slider working, as he did brilliantly with a 62% whiff rate. But, and I want to give a shout out to my guy, James Shiano. Shout out to you, James, doing a great job in the baseball space as well. James made note that this is a new slider for Tyler Megill, as it has 5 more inches 5 more inches of drop compared to last season, and is coming in a tick slower. So he had 5 whiffs that we saw on that slider, which was great to see. But Tyler Megill, pretty much the best outing that one could ask for to kickstart the season for a guy that was initially on the outside looking in to be a part of this rotation. Come to find out when everything is said and done that Megill is our number 2 starter for now, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So Siler, Big Drip, Tyler Megill, thank you so much for what was a quality outing to say the least. But
yeah, I mean, by the time 6th inning came around, 70 pitches or so. So I think that's very, very good.
It is good. I appreciate the fact that he was under 80 pitches through, again, entering the 6th inning. Unfortunately, couldn't record an out, but he entered the 6th, faced 2 batters, and was only at 77 pitches. So definitely something to be happy about and positive to build off of if you're Tyler.
To buy him lunch or something.
Yeah, I told him I got you on the next tab after he came out. So
that's hilarious. I love that. So Tyler Megill is going to be covering Reed Garrett's either, next tab, anything in relation to spending money he's going to cover next time around after how he saved his ass that we saw there in the 6th inning.
Do you wear that shirt to remind?
tell me about the origins of what the shirt is. As it says, we like it in the box, so throw it in the box. Attack hitters, yeah. So I like it in the box, and yeah, get it there.
Do you wear that shirt to remind yourself?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. So, yeah.
Hot take. I'm not even a hot take, but just something that I'm happy about. This is easily the most smiley I feel like I've ever seen Tyler Megill. Have you guys ever seen Tyler show this much personality? Ever? I don't think I have. Outside the one interview that he did with the Mets official podcast over the past month, I have not seen Tyler giddy and happy like this. So pretty cool to see him cracking jokes and feeling as loose and comfortable as he is. The more Tyler Megill is comfortable, the better he's going to be on the mound for this Mets team. So never going to complain about something like that. But guys, now let's get into, last but not least, the prospect report. And guys, Blade Tidwell was an absolute dog. Let's get into the Syracuse Mets outing and how they fared in this one. And the only reason why I'm talking about solely Syracuse is because the other Mets minor leagues have yet to begin. But the Syracuse Mets did kickstart their season this past day, and they took care of the Red Sox affiliate by a final score of 4-3. Offensively for the Mets in this matchup, Donovan Walton, who did not crack the Mets as a utility option, did have himself a 1-for-4 day with an RBI and a walk there batting leadoff. Then we saw home run-wise was Jackson Reitz. Jackson Reitz, who looked fantastic throughout spring training, certainly had some really, really good swings, including Grand Salami that I was in attendance for, is trying to compete hard to try to crack this Mets team as a backup catcher should it not be Hayden Sanger. And Reitz has given the Mets a good argument right from the start of the season. We also saw Billy McKinney, who the Mets acquired late in spring, go 0-for-4, but he's a guy that we can expect to not necessarily be with the Mets this year, but an MLB caliber bat that's stored right now in Syracuse. Joey Meneses had a big game. The former Washington National, 3-for-4 with a run scored and looking really, really good in the process with a double. Luke Ritter, who feels like he's going to be in the Mets organization forever. He's like, 27, 28 at least now. 3-for-4 with a run scored there, commanding the hot corner. Castillo at DH went 0-for-3 that we saw with an RBI. Celestio, we saw 2-for-4 with a RBI. Jackson Reitz, we just talked about him. And De Los Santos, who had a solid spring there as a utility option for the Mets. We just saw that, and he looked pretty solid overall. Actually, I just realized that I didn't have this on loop. So my apologies, folks. Let's make sure that's on loop. That way you can continue to enjoy the brilliance that was Blade Tidwell. Because Blade Tidwell was a dog. In this outing, 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, 1.8 ERA. Doing his best Tyler Megill impression is Blade Tidwell. And what I love so much about Blade Tidwell is that he's got a fiery fastball that touches 99. He's got a ridiculously nice breaking ball. And he has all the makings to be a true multi-inning lethal weapon, the bullpen for the Mets, as soon as this year, if not next year. I don't think Blade Tidwell is going to eventually play up to be a part of the Mets rotation, but I could be wrong. He also was fantastic and dominant against some of the best prospects in the game, including Marcelo Mayer that he struck out, that you guys seen the highlights beside me. So he casually just carved up, again, one of the best farms in Major League Baseball right now, and the Red Sox. So never complaining about that. Anthony Ghost had himself a scoreless outing, southpaw option for the Mets that we know that'll be trying to crack the Mets bullpen at some point this year. Walked a pair, but didn't allow any runs. Austin Warren did allow an earned run that we saw. A couple walks, didn't have a great outing. And Jesus Cabrera did allow a 1 earned run as well in 1.1 innings. So he isn't helping me at all in advocating for Jesus Cabrera to be getting reps over Danny Young, the bullpen this year, and that's okay. okay, because it's still the first game and it's Syracuse, so who knows how that's going to transition at the MLB level for a guy who was pretty solid for the Blue Jays last year, north of 70 innings and relief. So, guys, that is about going to do it for our latest Big Mets updates segment. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy. Please let us know all your key takeaways in the comments down below, and be on the lookout for daily post-game, not only breakdowns and our live shows, but then we will have, again, that ensuing morning the next day, barring changes, Big Mets updates to recap things further, along with prospect updates, and any other news and miscellaneous Mets stuff that is not relevant to the game itself. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.